Hi everyone, this is Amanda from Gotta Tech. I want to come on today to talk about your new computer. So it's time to buy a new computer. October is coming up, and that's when Microsoft is will no longer be supporting Windows 10. So what that means is that if you have a computer that has Windows 10, it will continue to work, but it will no longer get the latest security updates from Microsoft. So you won't be able to update your computer anymore. It will no longer be supported by Microsoft. And if you continue to use it, yes, it will still work, but you will notice that certain apps and software and websites will slowly not be compatible with the machine. So the machine will eventually become useless. It'll take a while, but it will eventually become useless. So we want to get ahead of that. We have about a month until that comes up. So I want to just help people get prepared for what they would need to do to start thinking about buying a new machine that's going to accommodate their needs. Okay, so I have some tips here. My first tip is, what is your computer used for? So, an example is, I use my computer for to run my business off of at home. I um, I also use it, for regular. I use it in between working from home. If I have to go out to a client, I'll take it with me as well. So I have a laptop for that purpose. So you have to think about, what is it for? Are you using it as a gaming machine? Are you using it for work, for school, or you just need a computer to go on the internet? So that will help you determine what type of machine you need to buy. If you are at home most of the time on your computer and you never need to take your computer out, maybe you just have to consider buying a desktop. If you are a person that has a business like I do, and you need to travel with your computer, then perhaps you need to consider a laptop. Or if you're a person that just goes online, just to browse the internet, and you have all of your files synced to OneDrive, or some type of cloud drive, and you just go on websites or social media, and you don't really have a use for the operating system itself to store files and to install applications on the physical computer, maybe you can consider a Chromebook. Okay, so there are different options. So you have to do that research and see what is right for you. My second tip is, what is your budget? So you want to figure out exactly um, how much you're willing to spend on this new computer. So I would recommend having a high and a low number. So let's say between 500 and 1200. Okay, and stick to your number. Especially if you're going to a store where there's sales reps and everything. Stick to your range and stick to your number. Know how much that you're willing to spend. You can end up spending $3,000-4,000 on a computer, and you're sitting there that much money worth of computers. You're sitting there with those many. I'm sorry, you're sitting there with that much of a computer, the cost of that computer, and you don't know how to use it. It's just a $3,000 computer that you bought for the sake of buying it, because you were pressured into it, or you thought because you spend more money is going to be better. Not necessarily. That's why I want to go through these tips, so you know how to narrow down what it is you'll need to buy. Okay, I just bought a new computer because my old computer, um, the hinge on one side broke, and then the other side eventually breaks, because that's how things work. Once one side goes, the other side, it can't support too long by itself. So the other side broke. So I bought a new computer fairly recently, and I had my budget in mind. I wasn't going to spend more than that. So I had to go through these same tips I'm giving you to decide what type of computer I need and what I was going to buy. So please just know your budget. Tip number 3: do you need to move around or stay at your desk? So I mentioned this before. You have to determine um, if you are going to be at home working or if you're going to stay at school working. In that instance, you need a laptop. If you're going to be at home and maybe your kids also need to use the computer, or your spouse, or there's other people around that need to use the computer, and you guys don't have to go out, then I would go with a desktop. Maybe even an all-in-one desktop, because with the all-in-one desktops, you get to keep everything in one piece. Okay, so that's my third tip. Tip number 4 is, what type of external hardware are you using for your computer? So, do you have a printer? Do you have a monitor? Do you have speakers? Do you have a router nearby where you're hardwiring your computer into your router? Do you have, if you're a musician, do you have musical equipment? Do you have, if you're a photographer, do you have cameras that you need to hook up? I mean, you have to consider everything that you use your computer for, all those peripheral or external devices. You have to consider all of those things so that when you buy your computer, it can accommodate all those things. You don't want to get in a situation where you have this brand new computer and you're ready to work and you set it up, and then you find out you don't have enough ports, or you don't have the correct ports to support all of your hardware. So I just want to give you that tip to please check your current existing hardware. Okay. Um, Tip number 5 I have is, what are the specs of the machine? Now, when I say specs, I mean the specifications of the machine you're looking to buy. So I think the easiest way to determine this would be to look at what are the current specs on your current machine, if you have one, right? Or go back to the step prior to the step 4, and look at what external what external equipment you need to connect to your machine. Okay, so you want to look at your machine specs. Okay, and that will help you determine what you need to do, and that will help you determine. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous, but that'll help you determine what you need to do in order to buy your new machine. So, for example, if you have something current, see how many ports are currently on your old computer. Okay, and make sure your new computer has that many or at least more. Also, check what type of ports it has. So, just because a USB port doesn't mean it's going to be compatible with every USB device. You have to see what type of USB device your equipment is using, and what type the new computer has, to see if it's going to be compatible. Okay, um, you want to make sure if you have an HDMI port for your monitor that you're connecting to your computer, that your computer has that port and not a display port. They look very similar, but they are different type of ports. So little things like that. When I say specs, you also want to look at the processor. If if you are a person that has open multiple tabs, like me, even though I I am against it for some reason, I just can't help having open multiple tabs. So when you do that, that can slow down your computer if you don't have a faster processor. So you want to make sure you have a faster processor. Um, that's one of the specs you want to look at. Also, memory. There's no reason, I personally don't recommend for anyone to buy a computer that has less than 16 gigs of memory. Um, at this stage. You should at least have that amount of memory in your computer at this point. Anything less than that it's gonna be slow. It might be compatible, it might work, it will work, but you'll notice a great difference with at least 16 or above. Okay, so you want to have that much memory, that much RAM. Now that's different from your hard drive size or your solid state drive size. That's a completely different thing. It's not the same as memory size. Okay. My next tip is your warranty. So make sure that you buy a warranty. So put that in your budget as well. Not just the price of the computer, but you have to add a warranty. And I say that because things happen. We have we especially with a laptop. We have accidents, we drop it, we spill things on it. Anything can happen. So you want to make sure you have a warranty that covers accidents, and an extension to the 1 year warranty. Because if something happens and you just spent $1,000 on October 15th for your new computer, in a year your manufacturer warranty expires. And what if something happens on day 366, right? What are you going to do? You're going to spend another $1,000 because you don't have a warranty or an extended warranty. So make sure you have that extended warranty in addition to accidental damage. Now, I found that um, I just dropped my phone. Okay, I found that I found that I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so I found that the when you can compare the warranty that is given at like a store and the one that is offered directly from the manufacturer. From my experience, the ones offered directly from the manufacturer have been better, but I think the stores are starting to compete with that now. So there are stores. I don't want to say names because they're not paying me for that, but um, there are stores that if you buy popular stores that if you go and buy equipment from them, they will they will put you on a warranty program where if something happens, you can return the equipment and get another one. And then with the new replacement, you just have to buy the warranty again. So that's a good option. But the manufacturers directly have those options as well, along with accidental damage. So just make sure you are checking your warranty and use it. Use your warranty. If anything happens, call up. Call up and get help with your equipment. And that's any equipment. I had an issue with a brand new vacuum and I called and got they replaced it. So you want to make sure that you're using your warranties, okay? Um, so I have some bonus tips as well. Um, all of this is over my head, Amanda. Gotta tech. All of this is over my head. I don't know what you're talking about. So, okay, if that's you, then I would recommend especially if you're like in an office setting or if you are in school, I recommend that you go to your IT department. Okay, go to your IT department, become buddies with one of the techs in your IT department, and start talking to them about what you're trying to do. Tell them that you want to buy a new computer. And I promise you they're going to go off. They're going to be delighted to help and offer you advice. And more importantly, they're not going to let you buy a computer that they wouldn't buy. So they're not going to give you recommendations for a cheap computer that's not going to meet the needs you have. So that's my advice for the person that does not want to deal with anything with all of these looking at specs and thinking about ports and all this thing. If you don't want to, if you're a person that doesn't want to deal with that at all, I recommend talking to somebody at your job, one of the people in the tech department at your job or at your school, and they will give you a great recommendation. They'll probably over talk to you about what to do. Okay. And my next bonus tip is maybe you don't work in an office, maybe you work from home, or maybe you're not in school, or you don't know any tech people. So my next recommendation would be, um, what are you currently using? If you're currently using a model of a computer, look for the newest model of that computer that came out this year or that came out last year. Okay, and then that way you have something that's very similar to what you're currently using. You know how to navigate it and get around it, and it'll it'll most likely work the same way that your current computer is working. So those are my tips for buying a new computer. Now this is for a PC. Mac, same thing as the last tip for a Mac. I would just for a Mac, I would just get the latest model. I personally, I'm not a big fan of the laptops anymore, but I do like their iMacs or their Mac Minis. So I would just look for the latest version of those machines and get get that, and so that you don't have to worry about doing research or talking to anybody about your new computer. So I hope this was helpful in your decision making to get your new computer. If you have any questions, please reach out to Gotta Tech. I will gladly help you answer any questions, and I will gladly guide you as best I can on what you should do when you're ready to get your computer. So, thank you so much for joining my session, and have a great day.